Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Once again, thank you so much for attending us or joining us this evening for the Adopt a Beach Team Leader Training. We really appreciate it. We'll go ahead and introduce ourselves and then have everyone also introduce themselves in the chat. And then we'll get started. So I'm Olivia Rita. I'm the Volunteer Engagement Manager with Alliance for the Great Lakes, and I have been based here in Chicago, working with both the Adopt a Beach and the Ambassador volunteer programs at the Alliance for just about 5 years. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm really looking forward to seeing some familiar faces, some new faces joining us here for the Adopt a Beach season, and looking forward to getting back out on the beach with you all. So I'll go ahead and let my colleague Crystal introduce herself as well. Hand it over to you, Crystal.
Awesome. Thank you, Olivia. Well, as Olivia said, hello, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Crystal Ramirez, and I use she, they pronouns. I'm also based in Chicago, and I am the volunteer engagement coordinator for the Alliance. And I've been working with the organization almost a year. Yay. And I basically work with Olivia to help support in support both of our both of our volunteer programs, the Ambassadors and Adopt a Beach programs. And awesome. So if y'all don't mind, if you could, I saw Sandra already put an introduction. Thank you. But for everyone else, if y'all could drop in the chat your name, your pronouns, location, if you've been a team leader with us before, or if this is your first time.
Oh boy.
And if you feel like sharing any ways that you interact with the Great Lakes, please also feel free to do that. But we are going to go ahead and get started because we do have a lot of fun stuff to share with you today. So yeah, take it away, Olivia.
Great. Thank you so much, Crystal. And thanks everyone in advance for going ahead and introducing yourselves in the chat. We really appreciate it. We're going to go ahead and get started now with our training. And we would just ask if everyone could just during the training, go ahead and mute yourself just so there's no feedback. There will be definitely time at the end. If you have questions or want to unmute yourself or make any observations, I'm happy to do that at the end. Also, if you have any questions during the training, if you want to go ahead and put those in the chat, myself and Crystal will be looking at the chat during the training, try to answer some of the questions as we go. And we will also have some time at the very end to address some questions as well. So go ahead and keep those coming in the chat. We'll be sure to keep an eye out for them. A little bit about what we're going to cover here today. We are going to do a brief overview of the Adopt a Beach program, especially if you haven't participated before, just a little bit more about what the program is, the history, and then we are going to do a step-by-step process of how to lead your own cleanup. This is really helpful if you're new, but also if you're returning, because we have a lot of updates to the program as well. And then, like I said, there'll be some time for questions, and we'll also sort of look at those chat questions as we go too. And we'll be sure to follow up after this training with some resources, but we'll also point you to some resources as we go during the training today. Okay, so a little bit about Adopt a Beach history, kind of how the program has expanded to be what it is today. I won't go through all of these in a ton of detail, but just wanted to kind of point out some highlights of the program. So we are just over 30 years old. We started in 1991. The Adopt a Beach program started as part of International Coastal Cleanup. And International Coastal Cleanup is a global effort put on by Ocean Conservancy, and it's a global shoreline cleanup program. So we're joining that effort in 1991, and we now call that September Adopt a Beach, which is still kind of coinciding with International Coastal Cleanup. We still share data with Ocean Conservancy. They're a great partner of ours. And then as you can see from this timeline here, the program has really expanded since then. So it started in a few states. It's now region-wide, happening in all 8 Great Lakes states, along all 5 Great Lakes shorelines every season. Year-round cleanups began in 2003, along with our online database. Our data has been used for lots of different things. It's been used to educate, to kind of inform us on what type of litter we're finding along the shorelines. Some researchers have used that data as well. And then I also want to point out an exciting volunteer accomplishment, which folks like yourselves have helped to make possible. And that was occurring in 2022, so a couple years ago, we reached a milestone, or I should say you all reached a milestone of removing 500,000 pounds of litter from Great Lakes shoreline since our online data collection in 2003. So huge accomplishment. We could not do it without the thousands and tens of thousands of volunteers that participate in our program. And then last year, we celebrated 20 years of our Adopt a Beach data collection. So that online data collection program celebrated 20 years last year. So we have been diving into that 20 years of data and seeing kind of what patterns emerge from that data. And then in a moment here, we'll talk about an exciting launch that's coming this year. But first, I just want to go a little bit into the framework of the program. So how Adopt a Beach works is that we recruit and support team leaders like yourself to go ahead and host a cleanup in your community. So team leaders coordinate cleanups and collect data all along the Great Lakes in all different communities, and we provide resources, training, and support to do so. And then team leaders like yourself are able to register your cleanups through our system, and then community members, volunteers are able to go to our website, find a cleanup near them. For example, there's a lot of Earth Day cleanups, things like that. Maybe folks want to get involved in their community and they can sign up online. So now we have cleanups on all 5 Great Lakes and in all 8 Great Lakes states. So once we really get into the summer and get into cleanup season, our map starts to really fill out like you see on the screen here. Okay, here's just some fun photos to kind of show you what this looks like in action. As you can see, a lot of different ages, different folks participating in our program, different size groups. It's really a flexible program, so you can do it by yourself, you can do it with a big group, you can do it with a small group, lots of options. And as you can see by some of these quotes from volunteers through surveys that we've had, some folks just see what you're doing and are interested and want to join just by seeing your efforts on the beach. So it can kind of be a good domino effect as well. And also people kind of mentioning some things that were, surprising to them, such as a lot of small debris being found, and someone mentioning kind of kids responding well to it. So a great education kind of experience as well. So here are some fun milestones that were reached by the program in the last couple years here, those we talked about during kind of the history of the program, but I wanted to bring us to this slide here, which talks about this season and what we're kind of launching this year. So if you've been with us before, you know that for our data collection, we always use our paper litter data forms, which we will still be offering. So that will still be an option. If you like collecting data on paper, we got you. We still have those. We can still send you those. But now volunteers can now collect litter data from a mobile device. So you can connect to the appropriate cleanup on your phone and collect litter data that way. And team leaders will be able to manage your whole cleanup from your mobile device, submit all your data before you even leave the beach, so you can do everything on the beach. Again, you can still do it at home, still use paper forms, just another option. And this was really in response to feedback we received from folks like yourself, from volunteers wanting this type of ability to collect data. So we hope it'll be an improved experience for volunteers, for you team leaders, kind of helping make things more efficient. And I know myself and Crystal have tallied up lots of paper data sheets in the past from large cleanups, and it can be kind of, a fun monotonous activity, but we hope this will cut down on some of that for you all, so you can just have folks submit it and then it'll automatically be counted towards your cleanup. So we will show you how to do all of that during tonight's training. But if you have any questions after tonight, please feel free to reach out to myself or Crystal. I know this is a new kind of option, so we anticipate a lot of questions, and we're happy to walk you through it in more detail. Okay, so now getting into the nitty-gritty kind of steps of being a team leader. Again, please feel free to put questions in the chat as we go. I know, things might come up as we go and you don't want to forget them, so please feel free to use the chat. But these steps here outline the steps to be a team leader. So we're going to go through all of these kind of step by step. Scheduling a cleanup in the system, creating your team leader account so you can schedule your cleanup, recruiting volunteers, how they can sign up online, what supplies you need to bring to your cleanup, and then what to do on the beach. So greeting folks, taking attendance, collecting data, which is my personal fave, and then getting that data entered into the system and kind of what that closeout process looks like. So I'm going to kick us off here with some of the first few steps. Okay, so the first one is going to be scheduling your cleanup in the system. So to do that, you first have to create a team leader account. So I'm going to change screens here. Hopefully you guys can see this. One moment. Let me get situated. Okay. We will be sending you all these URLs and links, so don't fret about like memorizing all of these things. Just wanted to point that out. So the first step is to go to our website, which is adopt.greatlakes.org. Might want to bookmark that. We'll kind of keep referring back to it. You're going to go here, and to create a team leader account, you're going to first go to the blue login button on the upper right-hand corner of that homepage. So I'm going to click on that, and that is where you'll go to login once you have a username and password. But for now, it'll look like this. So you don't have username login information yet, but to create a team leader account, you're going to go to the Become a Leader link under the yellow login button. You're going to select that. And that brings you to a super simple leader sign up page. So you'll note here that you have to be 18 years or older. If you're a minor and want to lead a cleanup, fantastic. We love that. Just make sure you have a parent or guardian with you, and they are the official team leader and with you day of, and you're more than happy to assist them. So you'll fill out all this information. It does ask for a mailing address. We will be using that address to help send you any supplies you request for your cleanup. Same thing with the t-shirt size. That'll be for your team leader t-shirt if you request one. You'll create a password. You can decide if you want to be on our email list. And then you will agree to the waiver and liability release and photo and name use waiver. That is available in full text, of course, that you will read. And then confirming you're 18 years or older. And then you will sign up. So once you sign up, I'm going to show you what that page looks like. Okay, so you're signed into your account, and now you will see kind of a little icon there in the upper, right-hand corner. Okay, and then to create your cleanup, you're going to go to the blue Host a Cleanup button on the blue navigation bar. And then you'll see a yellow Lead a Cleanup button. So you'll go ahead and select that. And this is where you will create your cleanup. So the first thing you'll want to do is decide a beach to host your cleanup at. So many of you might already know a beach that you're looking to host a cleanup at. If you do, just start typing that beach name in. So I'm going to do Montrose Dog Beach. Used to live over there. If you don't know a beach and you'd like some assistance choosing one, feel free to email us. We're happy to help you kind of troubleshoot that, think about that. If there's a beach you want to host your cleanup at and it's not coming up in the system, most of the time we're happy to help you add a beach to our system or park, shoreline park. As long as it's public and the landowner is okay with having a cleanup there, we're happy to add it. So just go ahead and reach out to us. You'll pick a date. So I'm going to pick one far into the future just so it doesn't affect any cleanups already in the system. You'll pick a start and end time. We recommend around 2 hours, and we find that's a good amount of time to make a dent, but also not too long where folks start to lose interest, but that's flexible, totally up to you. You'll want to choose a meetup location. So a lot of these beaches are large or maybe super busy in the summer. So picking like a identifiable kind of landmark on the beach, whether it's a, concession stand, parking lot, flag post, whatever, is identifiable on that beach. So I'm going to put like on the north side of the parking lot. So whatever is relevant for you. Then there's a field that is optional with event information. So this is really a catch-all field for you to put anything that's relevant for your group. If there are things you want them to be aware of that they should bring, put that there. So I'm going to say like bring all cleanup supplies. Oh, can't type. Please bring a water bottle or what have you, whatever information that's relevant. I do want to pop back up here. There's a couple fields I realize I glossed over. So we have cleanup capacity, and that's how many folks you believe you can accommodate at your cleanup. So maybe you're like, I'll have enough supplies for, I think, 30 people, but really you think 15 people will likely attend. So the estimated attendance is how many people you think will actually attend, totally an estimate. We use that to make sure we send you the appropriate amount of supplies. So that's the main purpose for that field. So I do want to say some beach locations have cleanup capacity restrictions. So if you get an error when you submit your cleanup and it flags the capacity field, it might be over capacity for a specific beach. So any questions there, feel free to reach out, but just wanted to flag that. Okay, so we're going to go back down here to the next field, which is private cleanup. You also can hover over these little like help text icons that say more information. But the private cleanup field, you can decide to make your cleanup public or private. Private means it's not open to the public. So people looking for a cleanup online, it'll still be on our website, but they won't be able to register for it unless they have a private registration link that you have access to and can give whomever you'd like. If you don't care whether it's private or public, we encourage you to make it public just because folks are looking for cleanups, and the more cleanups that are public, the better for, options for them to join. But we understand there are many cases where they kind of need to be private if there's, youth involved, minors involved, like a youth group that usually needs to be private. Corporate business groups a lot of times want it to be private. So for this one, I'm actually going to make it private just so it's not available to register for on our website since it's our practice cleanup. But then you're going to go ahead and select what kind of group type. This is just like information for us. It's really not used for a whole lot, but you'll go ahead and put whatever group type applies to you. If you have a name that's associated with your group that might help people identify that it's the right cleanup, feel free to include it. It's not a required field. If you are a business or a corporate group or, similar type of organization joining a cleanup, and you're interested in sponsorship opportunities, go ahead and check that next box and a staff member will be in touch with you. There's different sponsorship packages that we offer, and some of them involve like, extra perks like a staff member leading your cleanup or similar type things included. So feel free to check that if you're interested. And then this next section here is where you can request us to send you supplies for your cleanup. So your cleanup must be more than 2 weeks away. And that's just so we can see the request, have enough time to send you supplies before your cleanup. And the items that we offer to send for a cleanup, it doesn't cover everything, but we just hope that it helps subsidize costs for your cleanup. It makes it more accessible to host a cleanup. We offer to send litter monitoring forms, which are our data cards that are used to track data. So these would be the paper forms. A team leader t-shirt, which are fun. So definitely recommend checking that box. A $5 Ace Hardware gift card. Again, we know it won't cover everything, but maybe you can buy some gloves, buckets, garbage bags, things like that. A hanging scale for weighing trash. Those are kind of hard to find sometimes, so we offer to send those. And then Alliance for the Great Lakes stickers, just as a fun thing to hand out to your volunteers. So we would include enough for your estimated count. And then last but not least, you will confirm this safety statement. So we've linked our safety information. You'll go ahead and review that and confirm that you've looked over those items. So I'm going to check off what I want here. Okay, looks good. I'm going to confirm it. And then once I create my cleanup, I'm brought to what we call the cleanup details page. So kind of remember that because we're going to refer back to that name. And this is where all of your details are located. Okay, so everything we just entered is right here. But it's also where you're going to like manage the cleanup. So if you want to edit the cleanup, if you want to print the roster, all those different things are going to happen from this page. To get back to this page, you just go to My Cleanups on the blue navigation bar up top, and you can go to upcoming cleanup. So I made this one for November 20th. We're going to be brave, go out in November. And this is how you would get back to that. So that's your cleanup details page. That is how you create your cleanup. So pretty simple, just putting all your details in there. But I'm going to go ahead and go to the next step of our process here, which is recruiting volunteers and having them sign up online. Okay, so the first thing I want to note is where your registration link lives. So we created this cleanup. If you scroll down, you will see a field that says publicize your cleanup link. So I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste that link for folks and just put it in the chat because I want you to see what that looks like when you click on it. Okay, so if you'd like, go ahead and click on that link in the chat, and that will show you what that link looks like if someone were to use it. So this link, sometimes it's a private link. So you can see on this URL, it has a private token because it's a private cleanup. So that means it's not available to register for if you don't have the link. Either way, this registration link will get you to a page where you can register for the cleanup. So you can email this link, you can put it on social media if you want to. However you want to get folks to sign up for your cleanup, you can use that link, you can text it to people, whatever you'd like to do. Other ways to recruit volunteers. So some folks know these are the people I want to come to my, this is the group I'm doing my cleanup with, here's the link. But maybe you just want to host a cleanup in your community and want to have folks join who, you may not know yet, which is a fun way to get to know folks in your community. So just to kind of help you recruit folks for your cleanup, we have some resources. So this is another helpful page. It's called our Team Leader Resources page. So you can get to this page by going to greatlakes.org. cleanup.org/resources. And again, we will send all these links. I put it in the chat. And if you scroll down here, you'll see a lot of helpful things. I want to call out a couple things really quickly. So we have our how-to guide, which is a step-by-step virtual guide on leading your cleanup. We will have this recording available on here very soon. And then all of these other videos linked out are each of these steps individually. So you can watch videos to recap what we go over today. But I want to scroll down a little further to the section that says publicize your cleanup. So this section has some tools for you to help recruit folks for your cleanup. So we have a customizable flyer, a customizable press release, social media images, and customizable text. So all of those things can be used for you to help plug your cleanup in your community and get folks to sign up. And we do want folks to sign up ahead of time. That way they've signed up on the for the waiver, they signed off on the waiver, they've reserved your spot, you know how many people will attend, and they also get automatic emails reminding them of important things before the cleanup. Okay, I know that's a lot of info. Feel free to keep questions coming in the chat. We'll be sure to look at those as we go and also at the end. Okay, so I think that, yeah, mostly covers recruiting volunteers. So the next step is to gather supplies for your cleanup. So we're going to go back to the Team Leader Resources page, scroll back up, and now we're going to check out the how-to guide. So I'll let you guys read through this, in full if you'd like to at a later point, but we're going to go ahead and go to page 4 with our materials list for your cleanup. So there's some must-have items, there's some optional items. Again, feel free to look through this in detail on your own, but we're going to go ahead and go through the must-haves column just so I can point out a few things and let you know where to find some items. So first thing first is you need gloves. People can bring reusable gloves. That's a good way to cut down on waste. But any hands that are being used to pick up litter, they need to have some sort of glove for safety reasons. You can have one per volunteer, that way only using one hand to pick up litter, but definitely recommend having some extra. Sometimes they tear, sometimes people get really sweaty, want a new one. So just have some extras. And then some sort of writing utensils, so they can be pencils or pens. Pens can run a little if it's like drizzling or raining, but up to you. You'll have about 3 or so folks per kind of litter collection team. So like one pen per group or so. And then litter monitoring forms. So those are the data cards that are used to collect litter data. So I'll go ahead and show you what that looks like here. So really basic data sheet. Okay. And that is available to print on our Team Leader Resources page. So if you scroll down to forms, you can print those there. Again, we can also send you those. So easy for us to send. These next 2 things here are things we recommend that you print before your cleanup. I should say the next few things. So I will go back to those because we'll look at those from your cleanup details page. So these ending items here, you'll want something to obviously hold your litter, bags or buckets. People can bring reusable buckets. Again, another way to cut down on waste. Folks often ask, where do we dispose of litter? You just dispose of it on site. So there's usually receptacles, on the beach, at the park. Go ahead and just dispose of items right then and there. If you have any issues with that or they're full, you can put them neatly next to the receptacles. Let us know and we'll reach out to the park district so they're aware. A scale to weigh the trash. Again, this is something we can send you. A basic first aid kit you need to have on hand. Knock on wood, you hope you don't have to use it, but just in case if someone gets like a little scratch or something cut. And then if you want to manage your cleanup from the beach, you'll want a fully charged mobile device to be able to do so. Okay, so now those 3 items we skipped over before, the QR code, the roster, and the sign-in sheets, I want to show you how to print those. So the sign-in sheets are our paper waivers. So if folks sign up online ahead of time on our website, or they use their phone to sign the waiver, they don't need to sign a paper waiver. But if they don't do so, you're going to want to have some paper waivers on hand just in case. So they can be printed here from the form section of the resources page, and this is what they look like. This is a QR code so they can see the full language. They will fill this out for themselves and any minors, and then sign off on the bottom. It looks different from last year if you're returning. We updated our waiver language, so it's available in full on our website as always. But that is the paper waiver. Okay, and then the last 2 items to print, we are going to return to our team leader account and the cleanup details page. So I want to call out 2 things that we recommend you print. It kind of depends on if you're doing this from your mobile device or paper. If you want to use a paper roster to take attendance, you'll want to print that. So to do so, you go to the blue print roster icon, the blue button here, print roster. You go to that. And this would be filled out with names, and you would go ahead and select print, and it's very easy. You just print it from there, and you can check folks off at your cleanup. If you do plan to either you yourself use your mobile device to kind of help check folks in, or want folks to be able to check themselves in or take litter data on their mobile device, there's a QR code that we recommend you print, so it's easy for folks to use at your cleanup. So if you go to the blue icon, check in QR code, that is where there's a printable view, and you can print that. Crystal's going to go over that a little bit more. We'll go over that together during attendance. So I won't go into too much detail here, but just wanted to show you where to print that. Okay. So that takes us through the supply section. Again, lots of information, so feel free to keep the questions coming. We're just trying to be as thorough as possible, especially with some of these new items we have. But the next spot here is kind of happening once we're on the beach. So we're going to go ahead and first go through meeting volunteers on the beach and taking attendance. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And then Crystal is going to go ahead and share her screen, and we're going to show you what that looks like from a mobile device, because now we have our fun mobile data possibilities. So while I'm getting set up here, and then, sorry, 1 second. Okay. Okay, great. So Crystal's sharing her screen. Okay, and then I'm just getting set up on my end. Oops.
Awesome.
Okay. Let me know when you're all set, Crystal.
Ready.
All righty. Okay, so now comes the fun part. We're on the beach. We're ready for our cleanup. Folks are starting to arrive. So first of all, we recommend getting to the beach at least about 15 minutes before your cleanup. That allows you to kind of scope the scene, maybe check where like there's more litter kind of accumulating, and just allows you to kind of get set up and greet folks as they arrive. So as folks are arriving, one of the most important steps of the cleanup is that you need to check everyone in. Take attendance and make sure they've signed the waiver. So one thing that we'll note here in this section is if you are leading a cleanup with a youth or school group, we do have sort of a bit of a different special waiver process for that. It's pretty simple, but go ahead and email us and we'll get in touch with that. That's now available on our website, but we can kind of help you through that. So and then for all other groups, again, you'll want to just make sure everyone's checking in and make sure they have signed the waiver. So you can do this in a variety of different ways. Or I should say two main different ways. Using either your printed paper roster. So maybe you don't want to use your mobile device for this, totally fine. You can use your printed roster, or directly from your mobile device, which is what we're going to show you, and Crystal's going to show you on her screen there on her phone. If you use a paper roster, you're going to take all of that attendance data on the beach and then submit it later. And if you're returning, this is how we used to do it before. And you'll use the same steps on your computer or mobile device, same exact steps. It might look different on a desktop, but same steps. Okay. So Crystal is on her mobile device. She is logged in as a team leader. So we're going to go through some different scenarios of how you would check folks in depending on if they pre-registered or if they're a walk-up attendee. So what we mean by that is if someone pre-registered for your cleanup, they signed up online, and that means they also signed off on our waiver because that's part of the check-in, part of the registration process. And that means they would appear on your roster, whether it's paper or digital. If not, they're what we call a walk-up attendee. That means they did not pre-register, but if you're welcome to have them join your cleanup. They just need to sign the waiver either on paper or by registering on a mobile device. So that's a little kind of context to help make these steps make sense. Okay, so the first scenario is if an attendee registered ahead of time, so they pre-registered on our website, and they have a mobile device that they can use to check themselves in, which is great, takes the work off of you. They can do so by using your check-in QR code that we kind of briefly showed recently, or by entering your 5-digit cleanup code from our Adopt a Beach homepage, which I'll show you in the next step. Okay, So we're going to first show you how to access the check-in QR code from the cleanup details page. So Crystal's going to the My Cleanups tab, which she accessed from that little hamburger bar menu in the upper left-hand corner. And then she's going to click on the cleanup for that she's checking folks off for, which is a cleanup that's happening today. Okay. So on this page, you can see it looks similar, just a little more mobile friendly. She's going to go to that check-in QR code icon up on the top, the blue icon that says check-in QR code. Exactly. So she's going to click on that. Okay. So I just want to show you how to access this. This is where they could check themselves in using that QR code or a 5-digit cleanup code, which we're going to show you what they would do with that in a second here. Exactly. Okay. So remember kind of how we navigated that. In this next step here, we'll show you what it looks like when they land on the QR code. And then also how they would check themselves in or register. So if an attendee did not register ahead of time, but they have a mobile device they want to use for check-in, they can again use that QR code. So same check-in QR code or a cleanup code to register as a walk-up attendee. So they're registering. So to do that, you would give them that 5-digit code there. That's Crystal is zooming in on exactly. And then they would go to our website. So they would go to adopt.greatlakes.org. Yep. And then they would scroll down to the bottom of the page and it says add a cleanup now. And then there's a check-in hyperlink check-in link. So they would go to that and enter the cleanup code. So Crystal's going to enter that code, and then we're going to show you what that looks like once you press the next button. Okay, so she'll confirm that's the right cleanup. Yep, I want to go continue to check in. Okay, so the QR code would take you to that same page, confirming the cleanup. So here is where it depends on if you pre-registered or you're walk-up attendee. So if you pre-registered, you're just going to put the email you used to register and you'll check in. If you did not pre-register, you will register as a walk-up attendee. So Crystal's going to show you what that looks like since the first part's easy, if that's the case. So you'll select register and you will register as a walk-up attendee. You'll be able to sign off on the waiver. You'll be able to add minors if there's minors accompanying you. We're not going to do that right now just for timing's sake, but it's very easy to add minors. Crystal, maybe you can just show them when you get to that part, like what it would look like pop open the minor section just to show them what that section looks like. But then, yeah, you're just going to add your info. And again, this is a volunteer registering on their mobile device as a walk-up attendee.
So under the zip code, there is this little toggle that Olivia was mentioning. This is if you want to add minors. If you have minors with you that need to be registered. If not, you can just leave that like that.
Perfect. Thanks, Crystal. And then as you see, you're signing off on the waiver and photo and name use waiver. And then you can decide if you want to be added to the email list. And then you will register, last but not least.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to pause here. So that was the volunteer perspective, what that looks like. As you can see here, this is how they're going to use their mobile device to start tallying. We're not going to do that yet. That'll be kind of in just a moment here, but that is how they would check themselves in. And then they would it gives them instructions there to go ahead and pause and wait for instructions from a team leader. And once you kind of go through your little spiel in the beginning, they can return to this and start tallying litter data if they would like to do so on their mobile device. Okay, so now we're going to switch gears again back to the team leader point of view. And we're going to just act as if we're continuing to do mark our attendance. So this next scenario is if an attendee registered ahead of time, so they're pre-registered and they do not have a mobile device that they want to use for check-in. Maybe they don't have a phone with them. Maybe they don't want to do that. Totally fine. You can check them in and any accompanying minors using your paper roster, which you might have printed, or your digital roster. So to get to your digital roster, you are going to go to the blue icon next to the check-in QR code up top there that says attendance. Yep. So Crystal's going to click on attendance, and then this is your digital roster. So this will be everyone that pre-registered, or if they register on a mobile device during your cleanup, they will also show up here. So you can see Andy Bernard there was Crystal's walk-up attendee, and you can see they're kind of grayed out and they're marked as attended. And that's because they already checked themselves in, so you don't have to do anything, that they're already marked as attended. You can't edit them here, the ones who did that themselves, but you can at a later step if there's like an error or something. And another thing I want to note here about formatting is that our minors who are registered with their parent or guardian are marked with a less than 18 little symbol, so you know they're a minor. And they're listed right under their parent or guardian name. So just a little note about formatting. Okay, so Crystal probably has some folks that pre-register. They don't want to use their phone to check in. So Crystal's going to go ahead and mark some folks as attended. So maybe Angela, she's attended, Ryan, Howard, Stanley. The office is all here. If you can't tell, we love the office. Dwight, Oscar, maybe Jim, Halper, and Phil didn't come, but Pam and Cece did. I don't know why didn't they come to the cleanup? Maybe they're coming late. Okay, so we'll mark some folks as attended. And then maybe someone shows up that didn't pre-register and they don't have a mobile device that they want to use to check in. So this would be, again, a walk-up attendee, but they're not using their phone. So they can still attend the cleanup. But for these folks, you need to have them sign a paper waiver. That's really important. You're not going to add any walk-up attendees unless they sign the paper waiver. So you'll have them sign a paper waiver. If they have minors, have them sign off for the minors as well. And then you can enter them on the beach if you would like, or at a later point. So Crystal has someone that showed up, not pre-registered, but she's adding them as a walk-up attendee. She had them sign the paper waiver. She's all set there. She collected that paper waiver. And then she's going to use the middle button on the bottom there that says walk-up. So she's going to click that. And that is how she would add a walk-up attendee. So she's going to look at her paper waiver. She's going to fill out this information from the paper waiver. And it just has another reminder there, like make sure they have signed the paper waiver first. And then she's going to fill in that information for the walk-up attendee. So Crystal, why don't you go ahead and do an example there. Michael Scott's showing up as a walk-up attendee. He didn't pre-register. Okay, perfect. And then, you'll make sure they indicated they're 18 or over, which if they sign the waiver, they would be. And then Crystal, again, just show them maybe what the minor part looks like again, but maybe we won't add them right now. So if attendee brought minors, again, you would do that, add the minors. You can add multiple minors, but we'll go ahead and leave that. We'll delete those minors for now. Yep. Okay. And then if they want to be on the email list, you can indicate that there. If not, obviously toggle that off. Okay, so then we're going to submit it. And then if you scroll down on your attendance page, you'll notice that the walk-up attendees are listed at the very bottom. So they're listed kind of separately. You can edit them or delete them. Another thing I want to note really quickly here while we're on attendance is there's a refresh button. So if folks are checking themselves in on their own mobile devices, you're going to want to hit that refresh to make sure it's like being captured on your attendance page. So that, Crystal just did it. As you can see, that left side refresh button, you can use at any point. Okay. So once you think everyone's accounted for, so you don't think you're going to have to add anyone else, if you do think you're going to add folks, or if you have to add paper waivers later at home, go ahead and wait to submit attendance. But theoretically, we're all done with attendance. So we're going to go ahead and submit it. So, Crystal's going to use the yellow submit button exactly. And that brings us to the next attendance screen here. So if we know, or say, 10 folks attended based on our prior screen of data, but we know for sure 12 people attended, maybe something's not, tracking correctly with the attendance page previously, we'll go ahead and put the final attendance count. So for some reason, I know 12 people came, but for some reason the waiver, process isn't lining up. We'll go ahead and put the final attendance count just so we know how many people came to the cleanup. You'll finish attendance with the button. And then it'll bring you to your submitted attendance page, which you can go back to with that blue attendance icon. And if you need to edit this, say you made a mistake or say, actually, this person didn't attend or something like that, you can edit with the yellow edit button. We're not going to do that now just for timing's sake, but that is how you would do that. And then you would be able to resubmit a final head count and just get back to the screen. So that is attendance. We know that's a lot of info. Once you're doing it like in real time, it doesn't feel quite as cumbersome, but we just wanted to show you all of the kind of possibilities. But now I'm going to go ahead and turn things over to Crystal to go through the last few steps here We're nearing the ends, but we just want to, yeah, go over the last few steps here. And that starts with, oh, go ahead, Crystal.
Oh no, I'm like,
Take it
yeah,
away.
awesome. Thank you. Yeah, so we now that we got all the nitty-gritty attendance stuff out of the way, we made sure everyone has signed a waiver, minors are accounted for, everyone present has been accounted for. You're gonna want to get into introducing yourself and kind of introducing like what is the purpose behind the cleanup. And so I usually refer to this as a introductory spiel because you kind of ideally go over what the cleanup's going to look like, any safety guidelines you want to highlight, give a little bit of an educational context about the cleanup, a little bit of context around plastic pollution, as well as other issues affecting the Great Lakes. And for this very purpose, we have a PDF with some talking points, which is found under our team leaders resources page. So I have that open because I'm on the beach and I'm ready. So as you can see, it's just over a page, and we got different points on introducing the alliance, just sharing some Adopt a Beach facts. Again, like I highlighted earlier, plastic pollution is one of the biggest issues facing our Great Lakes. So that is definitely something you want to share, because at a cleanup, like that is like one of the most, like through that process, you can really see plastic pollution and what that does to the environment. We have some stuff on why we collect data, since that is really really one of the most important factors. So yeah, feel free to check these out. We can also link this on our follow-up email, but just know that this is available. Feel free to customize this as you please. Everybody kind of has their own style, which we do encourage. Yeah, so besides the educational aspect, when it comes to what you actually do at your cleanup, you're going to want to start by splitting up your larger group into smaller groups. So usually we recommend about 2 to 4 people, but that is totally up to you. And one of the roles that one of the group members will have is the data recorder. And as Olivia's been mentioning, you can either record litter data on a paper litter monitoring form, or you can use your phone. So if we go back to pretending we are Andy Bernard, we are a volunteer, right? We checked in using the QR code or the 5-digit cleanup code. We're all ready. We're at the start tallying screen, and we're just ready for our team leader to announce the start of the cleanup. And yeah, let's say this cleanup started at 6 p.m. We're at 6:43. Oh no. Anyway, so yeah, this is the next screen that your volunteers will see when they are collecting litter. So basically this is the litter categories, and if you go ahead and open up each one, which we recommend that everyone does just to get acquainted with the kinds of materials and items that they are very likely to find on the beach. This kind of helps you when you are recording data, because we do usually suggest, because you're in a group, like if one person's recording data, we suggest having everybody else like as they're picking up litter, like kind of announcing it so that the team leader knows. I mean the data recorder can record. So yeah, we have a few different sections. Yes. So you can open up all of them. You can have them closed. I do also want to highlight at this time that the last 2 sections may look a little bit different, because there will be more litter types in the miscellaneous section to come. But this is where we are now. Feel free to have them open or closed as you please. And yeah, whenever you have one of your team members announce like, oh, I found maybe 5 cigarette butts, you can tap the litter type 5 times, or let's say it's actually 25. Oh no, because that will happen. You will find piles of cigarette butts in one small area. So let's say it was actually 25. If you hold down the icon, you can input any number, hit add, and it will automatically add the litter counts. And then if you're like, oh no, it was actually 24 cigarette butts in that little area, you can go ahead and go into decrement mode, which at the bottom right-hand corner, you see this little minus and plus. Automatically, you're gonna start off with the plus, but mistakes happen. We miscount sometimes. You can go ahead and hit that minus button and then hold down this, let's say again, cigarette butts. It's actually 24. So we're gonna subtract 1, but because I held it down, I can subtract more. So let's say I miscounted by 13. So we can subtract 13 from the count, and that's automatically updated. If you just wanted to remove 1, you can also just tap the litter type in decrement mode. And yeah, you can switch back and forth as needed. Whatever works for you. And yeah, if you oh my bad. Oh, sorry. Oh no. Okay, my bad. I went bad. I went back by accident. But as you see, like we are pretty sure it still saves the count. So, again, that'll happen. No worries. And then also I want to highlight that at this bottom left-hand corner, we have this little question mark. If you forget, if you want more info on the litter categories or how to add, subtract tallies, how to add multiples, subtract multiples, you can go into this little question mark and you'll get this little pop-up. Yeah, you could close that out, but yeah, so let's say we're at our cleanup. Ooh, there's a lot of tiny trash, so we're gonna input some counts, holding down the glass pieces. I'm gonna say 32. Add, excellent. So let's say it was a short cleanup because we're running behind or something. But yeah, so yeah, let's say our cleanup concluded. We got what we got to. So this will come up. And so yeah, if you forgot to add something, you can put cancel, keep adding. If not, you can go ahead and hit submit. And then you're going to get to this screen so as a volunteer, this will indicate to you how many litter items you've picked up. It'll give you options to share your accomplishments on social media. And if you forgot something, again, we understand because like you'll be ready to, close out your cleanup, and then on your way to your group, you'll find, I don't know, a plastic water bottle, caps, and you'll wanna record that if possible. And yeah, also at this point, I do want to highlight that if for some reason the volunteer collecting the litter data on their phone is experiencing internet issues, that's totally fine. You can also feel free to submit your litter counts later when you get home or when you have access to Wi-Fi. We have any data entered into like this website will be saved if there's like a weak connection at any point. So if you're a volunteer, and also a note for the team leader, make sure to communicate that. So as a team leader, let your volunteers know that if they still need to submit litter, that's fine. But to please do that as soon as they have Wi-Fi access at home, so that you can have an accurate litter count at the end. Yeah, and then we're gonna also go over what it looks like to enter litter from a paper data sheet, because that can also be accounted for. Awesome. So we're gonna switch back to team leader mode. Woo. Okay. Here are our talking points. Here is we are back. We did our attendance. We supervised our cleanup, walked around to our teams. We're rounding people up to close out our cleanup. So we're gonna want to enter any litter forms that may have been filled out. So for this, if you, let's say you're at your cleanup details page, you're gonna want to hit this more button because we have more options and more things you can do on here. And then under the QR code, you're gonna find the litter forms, this little paper and notebook combo. Yeah, so here, this is what our litter monitoring form looks like on a digitally. I'm gonna enter in some counts. Let's say I get one form, okay. I'm gonna input the counts that they gave me on the form. And you can do this on the beach or at home. You just wouldn't be able to close out your cleanup, which in this case, we will assume all of our volunteers gave us our litter monitoring forms and they submitted their data on their phone if they used our website. So let's submit, because that was the first form. It's thinking, okay, cool. Now let's say, okay, we ended up back at our cleanup details page. Let's say somebody else used the litter monitoring form because, it's really a preference thing. If it's easier for you to continue using paper, that's awesome. If you want to try something new, we have this. So yeah, let's say that the second team was like also using paper. All right, we're entering their counts and we're going to submit. So now that I've done this, at the top of, so if we go back to the litter monitoring forms section, you're going to see at this, on top of the blue bar, number of submitted paper litter forms 2. So that way you could tell that what you've turned in has been accounted for. You can add another one. You can also add up, let's say it's 2 forms. You could have added up the counts and then just did 1 entry. But that, again, up to you, whatever is more comfortable and easy. Awesome. And now that we've done all of these steps, we're going to close out our cleanup. So again, our best friend is going to be this little icon with the labeled more with the little dots. Yeah, let's say we got everyone's like together, litter forms are in, everyone submitted that enter data submitted. Awesome. So we're going to go to this close cleanup step. As you can see, these are some things that we've already done. So that makes things a little bit easier. Now, since we put in the work earlier, so as you can see, this kind of just lists out everything that you need, everything that's been submitted as of now. That's like number of submissions received. So you're just going to go ahead and click, press next. So we have it's going to prompt us to complete any steps that we have not completed. So we are prompted to put in our litter weight. So we're going to do 10 pounds. And because, again, yeah, like I mentioned, our attendance had been submitted, our litter has been submitted. We just entered in our weight. The very last thing is going to be, you can put a little thank you for your volunteers. And then once you close out your cleanup, you will, this will trigger an automatic email and this will complete, this will close out your cleanup, and then this will also send out your little thank you message to all of your volunteers. So hit next when you're ready. When you're sure everything's been submitted, you can go ahead and close your cleanup. Your cleanup is now complete. It's thinking, but it's complete. Awesome. So, and then, yeah, if you are the cleanup leader, you can look into the final results. This will give you litter types collected and all that. Thank you guys for sticking through this with us. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal. And thank you, everyone. Like Crystal said, thank you so much for sticking through this with us. We know it's a lot of information, especially with a lot of the mobile data updates, which we hope will be helpful and will make it feel like a better process for everyone. but we know it's a lot of steps. So thanks for sticking with us. Like we said, kind of when you're doing it yourself, it feels, I think, more intuitive. But we just wanted to go through all of the different processes and options. So I did see one question here in the chat that I want to address real quick. Does the summary go in thank you emails? Great question, Amy. So that thank you email that Crystal referenced that automatically gets sent to your volunteers after you close out your cleanup. So you do have to complete that final step of closeout. But after you do that, they do get some summary information in the automatic email. So it tells them how many pounds of litter were removed at the entire cleanup. So not just their individual team, but the entire cleanup. And then also the top 3 items that were collected and how many items were collected of those top 3 items. So a bit of summary litter data goes into that email. Great question. Okay, so I do want to open it up to any more questions. I know Crystal and myself entered whatever was already in the chat, but if you want us to elaborate at all, please don't hesitate to ask. And I'm also going to just share screen again briefly because I want to put some contact information up for Crystal and myself in case you have additional questions that you think of later or want to discuss anything. Here is our contact info. I'll also put it in the chat. So that's my email, Crystal's email, direct work emails, and then also our Adopt a Beach email, which is available to reach out to if you have Adopt a Beach questions. But I will go ahead and open the floor up to you all and see if there are any additional questions that anyone wants to ask. But thank you again so much for attending the training. We really appreciate it and hope to see you on the beach this summer. So yeah, if you have any other questions, feel free to take yourself off mute, or if you're more comfortable putting them in the chat, that totally works as well. And also flagging that we'll be following up with a email with a lot of the resources we discussed, a recording of this training. So just give us a day or 2 to kind of get that recording processed, but then we'll go ahead and get that to you all.
Hi, I have a
Olivia,
question. Oh,
Go ahead.
okay, thanks. I did put a question in the chat, but I don't know if you saw it.
Oh.
I actually have a private beach. We moved to a house last year in Cleveland,
Yes.
and there's a private beach that we own a portion of. It's shared by about 10 homes.
very
So
cool.
at the beginning you said a public beach. So I just wanted
Right.
to check, can we do this at a private beach with permission of all the homeowners?
Great question, Sheila. Yes. So the short answer is absolutely. So if you have a private beach that you and any homeowners whose land it's like, falling on are okay with having that cleanup, absolutely. We're happy to add the beach for you. Just, I would say, go ahead and reach out to the Adopt a Beach email and Crystal will help you get that beach set up in the system. I do want to flag, Sheila, that when we do add the beach to the system, there's not a great way for us to have it in the system, but like only visible to you or like other homeowners. So it'd show up in the system, you could create your cleanup. And then after your cleanup, we could deactivate the beach. So it's not showing up as like a public, just like a location for anyone to use. So we can chat through with you a little bit in more detail. But the short answer is yes, we can definitely add the location and help you get that cleanup on the site.
Great, thanks. It feels like better to ask my friends to come help clean up the beach if we have an officially sanctioned program like this, and volunteer credit and everything. So thank you.
That sounds great. We would love for you to do that. And then we can send you some supplies and happy to help you think through that. And like I said, short answer is definitely can add it, but we'll probably just walk through a little bit of like the logistics for you to make sure it sounds good to you. Since it would be visible by other people, but I think we could definitely figure that out. Yep. Great question.
Thank you. Great
you.
presentation. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Sheila. Thanks so much for coming. We really appreciate it. Awesome, Jess. Thank you so much. Thanks for returning. Thanks for coming to the team leader training. And it's exciting to hear a returning team leader mention the mobile stuff. We hope you'll enjoy it and it helps you at your cleanup. We're excited about it. Crystal and I spent a lot of time last season kind of getting this ready. So it's fun for us to release it into the world. Right, Crystal?
Yes, absolutely. It's been a lot of work. And
yes.
And then now it's all about like trying to teach other folks how to use the the page. It feels like a lot, but like I feel like once you kind of get used to it,
it feels
you don't have to do a lot of math yourself, which I don't mind because I'm not
right
a
there
fan.
with you. Right there with you. Any other questions before we wrap up?
I have a quick question. It might
Yeah.
already cover that, like I overlooked or I overheard. For the new form electronically, the participants can fill it out. Do we
Yep.
have a QR code that is gonna be print out so they can, once they arrive at the location, they can just gonna scan it and go to the specific form to fill, to fill it out electronically, the little form.
Yep. Great question, Novum. And thank you so much for coming this evening. Novum's been a great long-term volunteer and ambassador also. So thanks, Novum, for joining us tonight. Great question, Novum. Yes. So I think your question was, if a volunteer shows up on the beach, can they use that QR code to directly like check in and go to the litter collection? Is that right, Novum?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Great question. And yes, the answer is yes. So that QR code that, I'm trying to see if there's a good screenshot of that. 1 second here. Well, that's like a desktop view. Anyways, when Crystal was on the mobile view, Novum, there was that like check-in QR code, blue icon, but it's also an icon when you're on the desktop too. So before your cleanup, you can go to that check-in QR code and print it. There's like a printable view and you can print the QR code, and then all your attendees, theoretically, if everyone's using a mobile device, of course, some folks may not be, and you can check them in on your own, but theoretically, they could all just go up to that QR code, use the QR code, check themselves in or register, and then be ready to collect litter data. That's the idea.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me know if that makes sense. We'll also send the recording, and there's like recorded videos. So if you go to this team leader resources page and you scroll down, or I'm sorry, I'm at the bottom already. If you scroll down to the videos, there's one that says gather supplies, and in parentheses it says like check in QR code waivers. So that's a good video to watch to get back to that QR code and see where to print it. Good question. Thanks, Novum. Thanks for all your work too. Any other last questions before we wrap up? And again, if you don't think of them now and you think of them later, which we know totally happens, definitely feel free to reach out to us. We are happy to assist or set up a call, chat further. I'm happy to do so. Just double check the chat here. Cool. Thank you again, Jess. I love that it looks helpful to you. I'm excited for y'all to use it as well. That's awesome. All right. Well, I'll go ahead and wrap us up here and close the recording. But like Crystal and I said, feel free to reach out, be in touch. We really enjoy getting to meet you all, interact with you all, and are super appreciative of all that you do through the program. We really could not do these volunteer programs without you all. You guys really have a lot of impressive accomplishments through the program. So very much appreciate each and every one of you. And we're here to support you throughout the season. Anything else to add, Crystal?
No, I just want to say thank you for joining us tonight. And yeah, this will be recorded. So if you want to listen to us again, you can go ahead and do that. And yeah, like Olivia said, if you also just want to like maybe focus in on one section, that's where the video recordings for the and under the team leader resources come in handy, so that you can get a more condensed version, more concise version on specifically whatever it is that you're having trouble with. But we also always love questions, so yeah, marinate on this a little bit and then reach out anytime. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Crystal. All right, everyone. Well, have a great evening, and hopefully we'll be in touch with you all this season. And have a great rest of your week. Thanks again for attending tonight. Really appreciate it. Bye, everyone.
Hi, thanks again.
Thank you.